coordinates on Earth with surreal beauty, like they're from another planet. But behind them lies a deadly lie. Imagine an island where there are up to 5 venomous snakes waiting for you in every square meter. A concentrated acid lake strong enough to dissolve steel in just a few hours. Or canyons where massive waves as tall as a 10-story building are ready to swallow everything. Those are the Deadlands, where the line between an amazing discovery and a death sentence is just one wrong step. Why do these places still exist as a breathtaking challenge to humanity? Why is it that even if you're a pro traveler or in great health, people always warn you, you absolutely must go with a companion? Let's roll the dice and step with me through the most dangerous places on Earth that you should never visit alone, right now. Tanah Toraja, Indonesia. Deep in the Sulawesi highlands, at an altitude of 1,200 meters, Tanah Toraja appears as a kingdom of spirits. The history of the Torajan people, dating back to the 9th century, is tied to the custom of carving graves into rock and the Manin ritual, where corpses are exhumed, dressed, and spoken to by the living. From above, the boat-roofed Tongkonan houses rise amidst the forest like a fleet of warships parting the waves. But when night falls, the Lemo cliff face becomes haunting, with its densely packed coffin niches, looking like a ghostly fortress. Don't be foolish enough to come here alone. The steep, moss-covered hairpin mountain roads can send you flying into a deep ravine at any moment. The feeling of entering the Doong Cave is extremely suffocating. In the dark, oxygen-deprived space, surrounded by thousands of skeletons, the Tau Tau statues seem to be staring right into your mind. In fact, quite a few solo travelers here have slipped on the cliffs and gone missing for days. Be careful, because Tanah Toraja is not for the faint of heart. Lava meets the ocean. Hawaii. At Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, the lava meets the ocean intersection is a true hell on Earth. From above, a stream of fiery lava pours straight down from a 30-meter-high cliff, crashing into the 25-degree seawater. Billowing white columns of smoke rise like roaring monsters. It's even scarier when night falls, the brilliant orange color reflecting on the pitch-black sea, looking like a gateway to the planet's core. If you come here alone, you'll be facing a silent death. The mix of HCl gas and glass crystals can burn your lungs instantly. The danger also lies in the new land ledges that look solid but are actually hollow, ready to collapse at any moment. In 1993, a photographer who came here died when the ledge beneath his feet suddenly collapsed into the sea. Amidst razor-sharp rocks, just one toxic breath or a piece of flying rock hitting you could cause you to collapse with no one to know if you don't have a companion. Masai Mara, Kenya. Don't let the poetic golden hue of the grasslands fool you. Because in Masai Mara, the line between a tourist and prey is just a 3-second lapse in attention. Located in southwest Kenya, Masai Mara appears as a giant golden ocean spanning 1,510 square kilometers at an altitude of 2,170 meters. Established in 1961, this land is also the territory of the legendary red-robed Maasai warriors. Hidden in the grasslands is the reddish-brown Mara River. The domain of thousands of 5-meter-long crocodiles and 3-ton hippos. Stealthy killers like lions or leopards are always hiding, waiting for prey in grass that's taller than a person. There have been cases of tourists being killed, dragged into the water by crocodiles when they wandered along the riverbank on their own. Remember, when night falls, the roar of lions and the eerie laughter of hyenas will begin. Your recklessness will surely turn into the most terrifying nightmare. Skeleton Tribe, Papua New Guinea. If you're looking for a place where your first mistake is also your last, then step into the land of the Omo Masalai. Located in the Chimbu Highlands of Papua New Guinea, the land of the Skeleton Tribe is a place that tests every limit of survival. At an altitude of 2,400 meters, you'll see villages perched on extremely rugged terrain with slopes of 45 to 60 degrees and humidity over 80%. The trails, only 40 centimeters wide, easily become a death slide whenever the jungle rain pours down. When night falls, dense fog reduces visibility to less than 2 meters, turning the old forest into an eerie, silent realm. The Omo Masalai's culture of painting their bodies as skeletons dates back to the 1800s, originating from a legend of pretending to be ghosts to deceive evil spirits. Therefore, never travel here alone. You'll face the risk of being ambushed by rascals' gangs or getting lost in the middle of bloody tribal conflicts. Kawah Ijen, Indonesia. Imagine you're hiking in the dark at 2 a.m., assaulted by the overpowering smell of rotten eggs. And suddenly, blue flames erupt before your eyes. That is the harsh welcome of Kawah Ijen. Located on the eastern side of Java, Indonesia, this 2,386 meters high volcano is a mesmerizing hell on Earth. The 20 kilometers wide crater holds the world's largest acidic lake with a pH of approximately 0.5. Enough to dissolve steel in just a few hours. From 2 a.m. to 4 a.m., streams of blue fire, up to 5 meters high, flow like brilliant neon waterfalls. By dawn, the turquoise lake appears amidst the sulfurous yellow smoke, thick with the smell of H2S. SO2 gas can hit you unexpectedly when the wind changes, causing you to become dizzy and collapse instantly if you don't have a gas mask for support. Not to mention, the cliffs leading down to the crater are extremely steep, unstable, and prone to landslides in the dark. In fact, tourists have died from slipping into the acid lake or suffocating from gas in deep crevices. Therefore, going to Ijen alone is betting your life against the Grim Reaper. Doong Cave, Vietnam. If the Earth had a secret lung, a place where clouds are born from within the ground and jungles grow up towards the sky, it would be Doong Cave, located in Phong Nha, Ki Bang National Park, Vietnam. Doong Cave is nearly 9 kilometers long, 200 meters high, and 300 meters deep beneath the Truong Son limestone. This place possesses stalagmites like the dog's paw, reaching up to 80 meters high. A result of a 2 to 5 million-year-old formation process. Remember to bring a professional companion, because you will have to face a 90-meter-high stalagmite wall that requires specialized climbing skills to overcome. The story of the woodsman Ho Khan in 1991 is the clearest proof. He had to flee from the terrifying roar of the underground river in this place. If you are alone, you could easily be swallowed by a flash flood that can rise tens of meters unexpectedly, or collapse from exhaustion on the razor-sharp limestone terrain. Completely cut off from medical help and communication signals, a small injury in the heart of the deep cave could turn your trip into a permanent disappearance. Angel's Landing, USA. Located in Zion National Park, Utah, Angel's Landing is a brilliant red sandstone sliver rising 1,765 meters above sea level. From above, this trail looks like a dinosaur's spine, flanked by 400 meters deep chasms on both sides. The trail was named in 1916, with the claim, "Only an angel could land there." To conquer the peak, you must overcome the 21 switchbacks of Walter's Wiggles and a 0.8-kilometer section of chains bolted directly into the vertical rock face. Angel's Landing does not forgive any mistakes. Facing a fear of heights or crosswinds alone can make you lose your balance instantly. In fact, at least 15 deaths have been recorded due to slips or psychological shock. Many people have been frozen with fear right in the middle of the precarious ridge. If you go alone, you won't have anyone to calm you down or provide timely assistance if lightning happens to strike this natural lightning rod. Remember, angels have wings to fly, but you don't. A second of carelessness will make this your last trip. Snake Island, Brazil. Not far from the coast of Brazil is Ilha da Queimada Grande, a 206 meters high emerald gem in the middle of the ocean. However, this lush 43-hectare piece of land is actually a death cage with a density of 1 to 5 venomous snakes per square meter. During the day, golden lancehead vipers are perfectly camouflaged like hidden weapons. When night falls, the island comes alive in a terrifying way with the rustling sounds of thousands of predators hunting for birds. The tragic highlight here is the 19th century lighthouse, where the last keeper's family died from dozens of bites while trying to flee. In fact, the Brazilian Navy has completely banned tourists from Snake Island. The venom of the snakes here is 5 times stronger than normal, capable of melting human tissue instantly. If you defy the ban and set foot here, you will be attacked from all sides with no chance of rescue. A single strike from above will carry out your death sentence in just a few minutes. Tree climbing goats, Morocco. Don't be quick to rub your eyes if you see a herd of goats balancing on treetops in the scorching heat of the Essaouira region. That image is real, not a hallucination of an exhausted traveler. Along the road from Agadir to Essaouira, Morocco, the argan trees full of goats appear like living lantern stands. At an altitude of 400 meters to 600 meters, the trees, up to 10 meters tall, with spindly branches only 5 to 10 centimeters thick, still support entire herds of goats standing motionless. The centuries-old history of the Berber people is linked to harvesting argan nuts from goat droppings. But today, you are more likely to face aggression from locals if you accidentally take photos without paying a fee. More dangerously, a 40-kilogram goat could lose its footing at any moment and fall straight from a height of 8 meters onto your head. The impact is enough to cause a traumatic brain injury with no one around to give first aid. In the hallucination-inducing heat, you could easily suffer from exhaustion and become prey for hyenas. If you come here alone, a simple car breakdown on a deserted road is enough to turn your dream of getting the perfect shot into a horrifying tragedy. Island of the Dolls, Mexico. Located in the Xochimilco Canal system, Mexico, Isla de las Muñecas appears as a dead land at an altitude of 2,240 meters. Thousands of old, mutilated dolls with severed heads and deformed bodies are hung from tree branches. Making anyone who comes here shudder. During the day, the sunlight reveals the cobwebs on the cracked plastic faces. When night falls, the lifeless figures seem to start whispering and moving in the darkness. If you go alone through the labyrinth of canals, which are only 2 meters wide, you could easily get lost or slip into the mud full of water snakes. The decaying wooden shacks and tangled traps are always waiting for lone wanderers. Absolutely never travel here alone. You could easily go into psychological shock in this bizarre space, which is tied to Julian Santana, the man who spent 50 years hanging dolls to appease the soul of a drowned girl, and who then died in that exact same spot in 2001. Suicide Forest, Japan. There are lands where the darkness comes not from the setting sun, but from painful memories. Aokigahara Forest, at the foot of Mount Fuji, Japan, is such a place. It's associated with the uber-suit custom of abandoning the elderly and is a suicide hotspot with 50 to 100 bodies found each year. The 30-square-kilometer forest appears as a deep blue-green ocean at an altitude of 1,000 meters. During the day, the dense canopy makes it difficult for sunlight to reach the ground. When night falls, the temperature drops sharply, turning the permanent ice caves into a void. The high magnetic iron content in the rocks makes your compass spin wildly, eliminating any ability to navigate. If you go alone, your cries for help will be completely swallowed by the porous lava rock. Just a few steps off the trail, you could easily fall into a sinkhole, hidden under dry leaves, or experience severe psychological trauma upon finding deadly artifacts. In Aokigahara, one small mistake while alone will make you a part of this inescapable maze. Danakil Depression, Ethiopia. Located in northern Ethiopia, the Danakil Depression appears like an alien planet, 125 meters below sea level. Viewed from above, this place is an insane color palette, with lemon yellow, turquoise, and blood-red sulfur pools standing out against a backdrop of pure white salt. With temperatures regularly hitting 50 degrees Celsius to 60 degrees Celsius, this is the hottest place in the world. The constantly cracking ground releases toxic chlorine gas, creating mirages under the intense heat. If your car breaks down, death from heat stroke and dehydration will come in less than an hour. You will face a true hell on Earth. The thin crust of gypsum at Dalol can shatter at any moment. Just one misstep, and your leg will be dissolved in concentrated sulfuric acid. Additionally, when traveling alone in this sensitive border region, you can easily become a target for armed rebels. In fact, there was a case of tourists being shot and killed in 2017. Therefore, if you want to challenge yourself, you must go with experienced companions. Salar de Uyuni, Bolivia. Located at an altitude of 3,656 meters in Bolivia, Salar de Uyuni is the world's largest salt flat, covering an area of 10,500 square kilometers. During the rainy season, a thin layer of water covers the salt surface, turning this place into the largest mirror on the planet. However, behind the beauty associated with the tears of the goddess Tunupa lies a white hell full of traps. The optical illusions on the vast white salt can cause a loss of depth perception, making it easy for you to fall into salt eyes or crash into rock islands. Nighttime temperatures can drop to minus 20 degrees Celsius. Combined with the thin air that causes altitude sickness, a car breakdown while traveling alone is a death sentence. In fact, in 2008, a tragic collision at Salar de Uyuni resulted in 13 deaths. This is a testament to the cruelty of the salt dust and illusions. Death Valley, USA. (93°C) is the ground temperature, 225 kilometers is the length of the fault. And 13 years is how long it took to find the remains of a missing tourist family. Welcome to Death Valley, the hottest and harshest spot on the map of North America. Located in California, Death Valley stretches for 225 kilometers with Badwater Basin at 86 meters below sea level. This is the hottest place on Earth, with a record of 56.7 degrees Celsius. The horrifying heat makes the ground reach 93 degrees Celsius, enough to melt the soles of your shoes, creating bizarre heat mirages. The name Death Valley is no exaggeration. Since the gold rush of 1849, history has witnessed many people collapse while trying to find a shortcut through the Devil's Basin. If you go alone, you can easily fall into the trap of acute dehydration, leading to delirium in just a few hours. Unexpected flash floods or a car breakdown in an area with no cell service is a real death sentence. The disappearance of the German tourist family in 1996, whose remains were found 13 years later, is the most brutal proof. One small mistake, while alone, will turn you into a permanent ghost. Masaya Volcano, Nicaragua. Located in Nicaragua, the Masaya volcano is known as the True Gates of Hell. At an altitude of 635 meters, this place has a fiery red lava lake in the 500-meter-wide Santiago crater. During the day, toxic SO2 and HCl gases are thick in the air. When night falls, the 1,200 degrees Celsius lava flow brilliantly illuminates the cloud of smoke, creating an incredibly mystical, fiery eye. In 1528, the Spanish erected the Cross of Bobadilla on the crater's edge to seal what they believed was a den of demons. Before that, the native Coratiga people had a custom of sacrificing young women in this very crater. The concentration of toxic gas here can change with the wind in just seconds, causing you to suffocate and pass out instantly. The cliff walls, long eroded by acid, can easily collapse if you stand too close to take a picture. Unexpected rock explosions are a constant threat. Traveling alone in the middle of this roaring crater could become a mistake you never get a chance to fix. Mount Nyiragongo, Congo. Standing tall in Virunga National Park, Congo, the 3,470 meters high Mount Nyiragongo appears as a deep, glowing red gash. The 2 kilometers wide crater contains a liquid lava lake with a record-breaking flow speed of up to 100 kilometers per hour. During the day, the summit is shrouded in thick clouds and SO2 gas. When night falls, the mountain glows with a deadly orange hue. The history of this place is linked to angry spirits that incinerated the city of Goma in 1977 and 2021. When you come here, you'll have to face Mazuku. Odorless pockets of CO2 gas that can cause a grown adult to pass out and die in just a few seconds. The lava rock terrain and the risk of cliff collapses are always waiting to swallow anyone who is careless. Like the tragic accident that happened in 2007. More dangerously, this area is also a territory for armed rebel groups. A solo traveler would be a perfect target for kidnappings for ransom. Bhangar Fort, India. Across all of India, Bhangar Fort is the only place where the government has to post warning signs strictly forbidding any entry after 6 p.m. This isn't a normal administrative rule, but a desperate attempt to protect people from the grey, ghostly kingdom at an altitude of 300 meters. Built in 1573 in Rajasthan, this 7-story structure has dark corridors and narrow underground tunnels, less than 1 meter wide. The curse of the wizard Singya from the 18th century seems to still haunt this place, causing the once bustling capital to be permanently abandoned. If you go alone, you could easily become prey for leopards and cobras from the Sariska forest that come in to hunt at night. The decaying stone structure and oppressive atmosphere can easily trigger panic attacks. You could slip and fall from the high fort walls at any moment. In fact, many reckless people who stayed overnight were found in a state of severe psychological trauma or met with tragic accidents. At Bhangar, a moment of hesitation when darkness falls could be the final mistake of your life. Migingo Island, Kenya. An island so small you can walk from one end to the other in just a few minutes. Yet it's where over 1,000 people are struggling for every centimeter of life. That is Migingo Island in Lake Victoria, Kenya. With an area of just 2,000 square meters, this is the most densely populated island in the world, with over 1,000 people crammed under grey tin roofs, only 10 to 15 meters above the water level. First settled in 1991, This place is a paradise for white gold, the Nile perch, but it's also the focal point of the world's smallest war between Kenya and Uganda. Why should you never come here alone? Because Migingo is a social pressure cooker full of hostility and lawlessness. Expensive equipment will immediately make you a target for mugging. The narrow walkways, less than 50 centimeters wide, are a truly dangerous maze. With just one slip into the rough water or a case of food poisoning from poor sanitation, access to medical care is nearly impossible. Nazaré Canyon, Portugal. Located off the coast of Portugal, the Nazaré Canyon appears as a V-shaped gash up to 5,000 meters deep in the continental shelf. Like a giant funnel, it gathers and amplifies the ocean's energy into waves up to 30 meters high, equivalent to a 10-story building. Winter, from October to March, is the most brutal time. When the São Miguel Arcanjo lighthouse stands alone in the misty sea spray. When night falls, the sound of waves crashing into the sea caves is like the roar of ancient sea monsters, recalling the legend of the knight Rupinho, who nearly plunged off the cliff in 1182. In the canyon, the Nazaré effect can create rogue waves that appear unexpectedly, sweeping you off the sand in seconds. The limestone cliffs around the canyon are also extremely unstable due to underwater erosion. Just one misstep, and a death sentence will be delivered. Even professional athletes like Maya Gabera have nearly lost their lives here. In the face of the Atlantic's fury, overconfidence is incredibly dangerous. Namaqualand, South Africa and Namibia. Since the 19th century, the trails through Namaqualand were forged by ambitious diamond hunters. But today, they are just paths leading to absolute solitude. Stretching between South Africa and Namibia, Namaqualand appears as a vibrant 440,000 square kilometer tapestry. From sea level, this land rises to a 1,500-meter plateau, where millions of orange and purple flowers burst into bloom after the winter rains. However, Namaqualand possesses a terrifying isolation. You can drive for hundreds of kilometers without seeing a single person or getting a cell phone signal. If you walk alone among the flower fields, you could easily step on a spitting cobra or encounter a leopard hiding in the bushes. The disappearances in the Richtersveld region are a stark warning. Victims are often found only years later, having perished from the frost. Remember the words of the locals. Don't look at the flowers for too long, because that beauty is the embodiment of the souls of travelers who have fallen here. Ushguli, Georgia. Located in the Svaneti region of Georgia, the village of Ushguli appears like a giant stone chessboard at an altitude of 2,410 meters. Over 200 defensive towers from the 9th century rise high amidst the Caucasus Mountains, like a petrified army guarding the border at the foot of the 5,193-meter-high Mount Shkara. When night falls, the temperature drops to -20 degrees Celsius, turning the 1.5 meters thick stone walls into silent black shadows. The name Ushguli is tied to the resilient history of the Svan people, who once killed a feudal lord to protect their freedom. Though stunning, never come here alone. The single 45-kilometer road from Mestia is among the most dangerous roads in the world, with the Inguri River Gorge having no guardrails and being prone to frequent landslides. You could easily become a victim of the White Killer, the terrifying avalanches that buried mountaineers in 2025. The car accidents that sent vehicles plunging into the gorge in 2019 are also proof of the harshness of this place. Virja, Iceland. In Virja, every step you take is essentially a gamble with death. Located in northern Iceland, this 1-kilometer-long geothermal area appears as an ulcerous burn at an altitude of 400 meters. During the day, the air is thick with the suffocating smell of sulfur. When night falls, the northern lights turn the steam into spirits rising from the earth. This is a masterpiece of the oceanic rift, where ancient people believed it was the breath of imprisoned giants. However, Havarea is actually a brutal thermal trap with a ground crust that is just a thin scab. Beneath it are boiling mud pots, ranging from 100 degrees Celsius to 200 degrees Celsius. If you go alone, one misstep will cause you to suffer third-degree burns instantly with no one to pull you out. The toxic H2S gas that accumulates at low levels can also cause you to faint and disappear in the thick fog. The horrific thermal burn incidents are a costly warning. Beneath the red dust, hell is always waiting to swallow careless footsteps. Harihar Fort, India. There's a type of paralysis that comes not from the cold, but from standing halfway up a vertical cliff, unable to move forward or backward. Harihar Fort is just such a place. Located in Maharashtra, India, the majestic 1,120 meters high fort appears like a giant stone drill bit. Its most distinctive feature is the system of 117 steps carved directly into the vertical rock face with an incline of up to 80 degrees. During the monsoon season from June to September, the steps, which are up to 0.9 meters high, become as slippery as grease. Just one slip, and you'll fall hundreds of meters into the chasm with no one to help. On top of that, you can easily become frozen by the fear of heights, stuck halfway up the cliff, unable to move forward or backward. The tragic accidents that occurred here in 2019 are a stark warning. At Harihar, you're only allowed to make a mistake once. Fort Monroe, Pakistan. Built in the late 19th century by Sir Robert Sandeman, Fort Monroe was once a luxurious resort for British officers. But behind the stories of the mysterious Damas Lake lies the brutal reality of the remote Suleiman Mountains. Fort Monroe, at 1,972 meters high, appears like a giant steel python clinging to the cliff face. The highlight is the Gurdu Pass, with its brilliant red steel bridges winding for 40 kilometers, resembling a rope ladder connecting the ground to the clouds. This is a true death road, with traps of heavy trucks and deep, unguarded ravines. If you go alone, you can easily fall into a state of panic because of the height. The feeling of looking straight down from the steel bridge into a chasm hundreds of meters deep can cause you to lose control of your vehicle instantly. Tragic accidents due to brake failure at Gerdu Pass still happen every year, a testament to its harshness. In this remote mountainous area with no cell service, a minor incident while alone means being left behind in the scorching sun or freezing cold. Mount Washington, USA. Over 160 deaths is not just a dry statistic. It is a stark reminder of Mount Washington's cruelty to those who dare to travel alone. Located in New Hampshire, USA, this 1,917-meter peak appears like an icebreaker ship piercing through a sea of clouds. This is the place with the most extreme weather on the planet, with a record wind speed of 372 kilometers per hour. Even in the middle of summer, the temperature can still plummet to minus 40 degrees Celsius. The Auto Road, built in 1861, is a testament to human efforts to conquer it. But it's also a death trap with a 12% grade and no guardrails, ready to cook your car's braking system. The sudden weather changes here can knock you down in an instant. You can easily fall into a state of acute hypothermia or become completely disoriented in the dense fog. On Mount Washington, nature has absolutely no compassion. A slip of the foot or a sudden gust of wind can be the end of your journey. The world is magnificent, but behind that beauty, there are always death traps waiting for the lone traveler. Hopefully, this list has helped you be more cautious in your upcoming journeys. Among these locations, which one gave you the most goosebumps? Or do you know of any other dangerous coordinates? Leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next heart-stopping journeys. See you again.